Mycotoxins are going to be they're toxins derived from molds that will generally or historically infest grain products, but also, as we've learned, can also find their way into hemp and cannabis. So there's certainly kind of a crossover need there, and slowly, as we began to build our place in this market space, began to look at other ways where we could help with safety in general, and began to evolve into providing solutions for allergens, for microbial contaminants.
All right, welcome to the iHemp Hour. My name's Dave Craybill. I'm with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp in Michigan. iHemp Michigan advocates for wellness in people and the planet through hemp, and it begins with the farmer. Please support our advocacy and join iHemp Michigan. Business members receive listings in our business directory, which is actively searched by thousands of visitors. Plus, you receive discounts on our upcoming Midwest iHemp Expo. Isn't that exciting, Mike Brennan?
And if anybody doesn't attend that, they're an idiot, right? I mean, that's the show of the year coming up.
Great show. We can't wait to see everybody.
For gosh sake, right? All right. So, hey, I've got some news. I track the dark side of the force, the above 0.3%, folks. And we just got the July sales for adult use and medical marijuana, and it came in at $171 million for July, which was a record. And of that, 149 was for recreational. The rest was medical. And the prior month, it was 128 for adult use and 43 for medical. So it's trending up. I guess the good news for all the municipalities and everybody else that gets a piece of the action is $23 million in tax revenue was raised in July because of these sales. There's approximately 16% of every sale in the adult use and medical area goes to some taxes somewhere, whether it's state, federal, or not federal yet, but that's coming, state or municipal, that sort of thing. Everybody gets a cut of the action. The other thing I want to mention, yesterday on my show, we had a great show talking about what's going on with some of the new cultivators and dispensaries that are coming online. And one of them in Ionia is having a big grand opening on Friday. That's Tony. That would be, I almost said Tony Lupo. Sorry, wrong one. That would be Kyle Miller, the co-founder of Eastern Craft in Ionia, having a big grand opening on Friday at his place in Ionia. And so he also has, he's just gone from a license for 500 plants to 2,000 plants. So he's going big time with that. He's very active in Michigan Normal and some other groups like that. And then we also talked about the West Michigan Cannabis Expo that's coming up in Grand Rapids on September 11th and 12th, sort of counter programming to what Dave is doing with his Frisbee, ultimate Frisbee competition. I guess, are we going to talk about that today at all? Or
I'd love to. Yeah, I know if Tony joins the meeting, I'm sure he'll chime in on that as well. But yeah, we walked through Garfield Park, tossed some Frisbees around. Super excited for the event.
All right, and so that we had the head of the arena there, that the Deltaplex, came on the show to talk about what was going on, and with they were going to do this in 2020, but gosh, that virus got in the way. So it's been, anybody that's ever done an event, it's challenging enough just to get all the ducks in a row, but when you think you're going to be doing the event and then something like this comes out of left field, it makes it even more challenging. But it looks like it's going to be a good event. He's expecting 50 to 60 exhibitors, not quite as many as we had in Detroit in June. We had like 250, but a lot of those are outstate people. What you're going to see in Grand Rapids at the Deltaplex, well, you can go back and forth between the ultimate Frisbee competition at Garfield Park and go over to the Deltaplex. They're not that far apart. And then so you're going to, and it's cheap. It's only like $20 for a day pass because the beauty of that is the Deltaplex is putting it on so they don't have to pay for the facility, right? Cuts down on your costs. So exciting news. You can read more at mimarijuanareport.com. And back, is it back to Blaine now, or where are we going, Dave?
I just want to, you mentioned, we were talking about the marijuana side, and I just want to make, you let everybody know, we met with the Michigan Chamber of Commerce. One of our sponsors, Veritas Laboratories in Lansing, Greg Marchand, helped put this together. So we're creating a Michigan Safe Cannabis Coalition. It's a combination between the marijuana and the hemp side under the Michigan Chamber umbrella to give us some more lobbying stuff. So super excited about that. You know, there's things happening. That's good. And I just want to introduce my good friend and business partner, Tony Solano. It's his birthday today. Should we, let's not sing happy birthday.
No, if anybody heard our voices, they would like break
happy
glass,
birthday.
You know?
But Tony, say howdy. You're muted right now. And say howdy. And what's going on, Tony? He's back.
Hey, everybody. I'm saying howdy, and I'm shutting up until we take care of NEOGEN first, because I'm dying to hear what you guys have to share.
Okay, so how's your boo-boo doing? You getting that all worked out?
Just fine. No issues. I got my antibiotics. 48 hours in the hospital did me a whole lot of good. Stopped me dead in my tracks, and I've gotten more sleep in the last 24 hours than in the last 24 weeks.
I hear you.
Yeah, Tony flies into Michigan, and he's been so supportive of what I've been going through, and I've been pushing him around in a wheelchair. It's like, what the hell, Tony?
Big on your arms, though, Dave. You know, a little weight there, a little counterweight, and, you know, build yourself up.
So, all right. So Blaine Bechtold is live from Lansing at NEOGEN. So
yes, we're having a great day today, and I told
the whole team here from NEOGEN.
We've got to upgrade our we got to up our game a little bit here for this. Want to thank NEOGEN today for allowing us to host from here. We've got a great sport to have with us. We've got Jack and Anthony behind the scenes helping us out. So we appreciate their help. And we've got Dr. Jesse Miller on one screen there, and we've got Tony
Lupo.
Lupo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As opposed to Tony Wheelchair, right? So yeah, okay.
And we got Nate next to us, and Tony, I'm glad you got to experience Michigan hospitality at its finest there in the hospital. So yeah, got you all better and got you back home. So
now I understand what they mean when they say right in the mitten.
Well, you got to experience Miracle Mile, that's for sure. Medical Miracle Mile there in Grand Rapids. So again, NEOGEN hosting us today. We're going to have a great talk. We're going to talk about how we can help prevent farmers losing their crop going hot. I know of a lot of friends personally, and over the last 2 years that have grown a crop and get to the end and they send it into MDARD and comes back hot, and they've had to destroy thousands of dollars, hours of work. So we're going to show you a way that you can do that inexpensively right from home. This test does not do the compliance part. So, but at least you know now we'll be able to find a way to figure out as you're growing to be able to do that. So again, I want to thank NEOGEN for hosting us today and doing this. But I want to start out. So the first thing that happened today as we were coming here, Dave and I got on a call with the U.S. Hemp Roundtable, who again, by being a member of iHemp Michigan, you're a member of that group, and they're doing so many good things behind the scenes to support and to get CBD regulated. Big news that came out this week with FDA. They're not a positive stance. They're not going forward with allowing it to be used for dietary supplements at this time. So we were on the call with Senator Stabenow's office, talking about why the importance of it. And we have legislation in. We need everybody to make sure they contact their representatives and tell them we need this support because since FDA is not going to do their job correctly, we need to make Congress make them do their job correctly. So we'll do that. But they say one of the greatest forms of flattery is when somebody copies you. So Dave, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Jonathan Miller is now doing a podcast. So yeah, he's copying us. I mean, what can we say? The first one they did was on Hemp Legally Speaking. It's the name of the podcast. He talked about Delta 8. So you can find that podcast if you need to. I'm sure if you just put Jonathan Miller podcast, it'll probably come up there. So great podcast. I haven't had a chance to listen to it myself yet, but I know that that's coming out. So we have that. So we have somebody copying us already, Dave. For all our friends that are in the Colorado state, on August 28th at Longmont, Colorado, they got the Rocky Mountain Industrial Hemp Summit, the first annual. That's August 28th on that going there. I want to make sure everybody's aware. I'm sure that they are. I know that they are because I know some people have been contacted. That MDART is out doing their inspections. They've got to do a spot check on a certain percentage of people. I know they got trained a few weeks ago, and they're contacting growers and getting out. So on August 2nd, MDART put out an email. MDART begins industrial hemp grower compliance inspections, tells you what you need to get there and have them have in place. So there's a little bit more record keeping that you've got to have this year for your growers. So make sure you look at that August 2nd. We've got it on the website as well to see what things you need to have there. Obviously, you need to have your signs out, and you got to keep a record of your harvest and sampling and location, your sales record. So just a number of things now you've got to do under the new program to do that. So the latest report, we haven't brought this out in a while, but this is the Jacobsons giving us their forecast. They're talking about where hemp seed for grain is going to go in the next future, and looking good for that. But a lot of acres have been cut back this year. Obviously, we know that not only for the CBD, but also for the hemp seed was also cut back. So prices really haven't changed too much. Looking at the hemp biomass, the southeast, it's 39 cents a pound, percentage point for that. The organic is a little higher, it's 57 cents a pound. The crude CBD extract is about $260 a kilogram. And what else we got on here? So again, nothing's really changed too much. Everything's kind of stayed that same as when we've gone up or down. So that's a good sign, I think, if it hasn't gone down, because at least it means that our supply is being used up, and we'll be able to bring back some good prices here in the future with future years. But so that's about what I've got. I'm going to share some other news a little later on. Of course, we've got our recipe we're going to have. Neogen's going to be the benefit of that. The Hempress helped out last night and made today's recipe. So
did you bring your hat this time?
I did bring my hat this time.
Okay, good. You're not the emperor without the hat. So,
I know, but you unfortunately, Tony and Jesse are going to be able to benefit from this, but Mike and Dave, I'm sorry, I don't have a cookie for you. So
thank you, Becky. We appreciate the cookies. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That assumes that Nate leaves some for us, Blaine. Let's see how this all works out.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about that.
So we're here at Neogen's headquarters in Lansing, Michigan is where we are. They call the thing behind us the bat. What?
Yeah, the bat signal.
The bat signal.
The bat signal.
Put it on. Yeah, put it on and off when they want to. So I guess that's
so. So you're going to put on like a cape or anything, Blaine?
No.
Kind of swoop in, or no?
We probably should have mask on. The Institute.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So let me introduce who's our speaker is going to be today. So Tony Lupo oversees Neogen's technical service department, which is responsible for providing global technical support for Neogen's comprehensive line of food safety products. That's how they got started. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. After joining Neogen Corporation in 1998, Tony served as a scientist in Neogen's research and development group and began his current role as Senior Director of Technical Services in 2009. He has served on the AOAC International Board of Directors since 2016 and is currently serving as president-elect and will become president of AOAC this fall. Tony also serves on the Food Allergen Research and Resource Program Board of Directors. So, Tony, have we said everything right? Is there anything else you want to brag about? You got your 15 seconds here.
Well, Nate said, just send me something about yourself. And I'm like, oh, well, I've got something around here somewhere. And I threw it over to him. But no, you absolutely got it all right. And you didn't have to read it all. But I appreciate you doing that. And thank you so much for the kind invitation for having me today.
Dr. Jesse Miller really isn't any stranger to anybody. For iHemp, he was at he talked at our virtual conference last year. If you haven't had a chance to see his talk on regenerative agriculture, it's a great talk. And we're going to have him again this year at the Expo, which will be January 21st, 22nd in Lansing at the Lansing Center again. And then Friday night will be the big party that everybody wants to come to. That's going to be the Hemp Awards, but we'll talk more about that at the end of the show. But Dr. Jesse Miller is Director of Innovations at Neogen Corporation and joined Neogen just over a year ago after roles at NSF International and 3M. He has a background in food safety, cannabis, microbiology, and molecular biology. Jesse and his team oversee the innovation portfolio and process bringing meaningful products to market and that improve the lives of humans and animals worldwide. He currently serves as a Cannabis Analytical Science Program, CASP member for AOAC International and is Cannabis Committee member for the American Herbal Products Association. So help me out, guys, because I don't know what AOAC is.
Well, go ahead, Tony.
Sure. So this is an organization that started as the Association of Official Analytical Chemists in the late 1870s, honestly, as a outgrowth of FDA, and over time has evolved into its own organization, and certainly evolved far past that of chemistry, and is now in areas of microbiology and other analytical testing needs. And so sort of outgrew the acronym, and now is just really kind of AOAC International as a brand. But essentially, where we rely on AOAC significantly as a test kit provider is a third-party validation source, if you will, a good housekeeping seal of approval for testing methods in analytical. So whether it's in the cannabis space or the hemp space or the food and cosmetic space, these types of methods generally are considered widely accepted after receiving that seal of approval.
Yeah, if I can add to what Tony said there with AOAC, it's really, a third-party group of experts in the field helps set what the gold standard testing methodology should be. And then that'll be the guiding light for everybody else who's testing that matrix. So for cannabis, they have one for hemp. They have a hemp flower, AOAC 2018.11. Okay, you should probably follow that method because it's been vetted by third-party professionals to make sure the way you're testing is on the up and up. And so I'll talk about that a little bit later with you guys, but it's super important organization to make sure we're keeping food and products that go into food safe out there.
Well, we
Absolutely.
are, one way or the other, we are ingesting this product either through smoking it or topicals or drops or by whatever. So you're right, it needs to be, and that's one of the things that we'll be talking quite a bit about more too. Dr. Miller, anything else? I read your little bio. Anything else you want to brag about and make yourself look good for the next show? Got your chance.
I'm really excited about this test you guys are going to talk about today. It's the first one that ran through our innovation process here at NEOGEN since I got here. So I'm excited to see, making important, meaningful, impactful products for farmers is really the core of our business. We've been doing this since the early 80s. We live for the farmers. We live for food safety, and this really fits our mission and the mission for iHemp as well. So I'm really excited to see what Nate's going to show us today about that.
Sure. Excellent.
All right. Well, that's a good segue into Nate Banner. Nate Banner is my guest, is sitting to the right here.
Yep.
Nate Banner is the product manager of residues and chemical contaminants at NEOGEN. He began his NEOGEN career as a research scientist in 2006 and has since held several different roles in product management, leading new product development efforts related to the sanitation, verification, diagnostic instruments, and veterinarian drug residue analysis. Nate continues to serve as a global dairy industry as a board member at the U.S. International Dairy Federation and as the chair of the International Standing Committee for Analytical Methods related to residues and contaminants. Nate participates in several AOAC work groups and related to this area of food safety. So Nate, thank you, and thank you for having us here.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here in our showroom here in our South Cedar building. So great to have you here, Blaine. Absolutely.
Yeah. So last year, in full disclosure, everybody, I helped them develop this product last year, do some of the beta testing for them last year. And so I'm just excited to know that we finally have a product that we can able to do on the farm in a quick manner, efficient, accurate, and again, let you know throughout the growing season where you are, so you have the opportunity to stop that and get that test done before, so you don't go hot and don't have to ruin that crop. So Tony, I guess my first question is going to be thrown at you, if you don't mind. We talked a little bit about this, but who is NEOGEN? Why did they exist? What do they do? Sure.
Well, I appreciate that. Really, so who NEOGEN is we were founded in 1982. We started in pretty humble beginnings as an outgrowth of MSU and some of the research laboratories there in the area of mycotoxins. And yep, exactly right. Exactly right. And so mycotoxins are going to be they're toxins derived from molds that will generally or historically infest grain products, but also, as we've learned, can also find their way into hemp and cannabis. So there's certainly kind of a crossover need there, and slowly, as we began to build our place in this market space, began to look at other ways where we could help with safety in general, and began to evolve into providing solutions for allergens, for microbial contaminants, for drug residues, and pesticides, and basically all the things that you might find that would impact either the safety or quality of a food product. And then as you started to kind of look at what some of those things can do in the food industry, it became pretty obvious that they have applicability in other industries as well. And so we began to look at, well, these same types of methods are needed for use in cosmetics and nutraceuticals, in personal care products, and ultimately in industrial hemp and cannabis. They're really the same problem, just in a different type of matrix. And so being able to adjust our methods has sort of allowed us to kind of work in this space and still be in conjunction with our overall mission.
All right. Dr. Miller, I'll throw this question at you. Why? So you're helping farmers, but what was the emphasis of getting on and growing the hemp? What was the reason that you felt that this was important, I guess?
Yeah, as I mentioned briefly before, it's right in the wheelhouse of our mission with animal and food safety. And Tony mentioned it as well. We have a lot of products that are relatively matrix agnostic. They test for a lot of different things, and we just do a matrix extension validation in that space. So early on, when early in my career at NEOGEN, we were looking into this opportunity with farmers, what's going on with all these hot crops. There's a lot of hubbub about hemp. It's very clear that hemp and marijuana are going to get legalized eventually. Isn't it our duty to try to keep this stuff safe with existing and new solutions? So we went ahead and said, okay, let's figure out what the best fit is for new products for the farmers, where we can have the most impact and the most rapid fashion, both for our organization and for the farmers. And this test that Nate's going to talk about today is high up there on the list, along with our Solaris platform. Really the Farm Bill, has some, I'm just trying to say this the right way, leaves some room to be desired. There's a lot of gaps in there, and there's been a lot of consternation with farmers. Is it 0.3? Now is it 1%? Where do I sample? And there's been a lot of amendments to it, and that's just growing pains for the industry, I think. And I don't fault anybody for that, but stepping in and giving people a test that they can really rely on and trust the results on was really important to us, because we'd seen the variable analytical results out there. You send a sample out, you get 5 different results back. Send it to 3 different places, get 3 different results back. People aren't using validated methods. It's just a dumpster fire out there, quite frankly, in the testing space. It's like we have an opportunity to bring some legitimacy to this spot and really help the farmers on the farm before they send that final test to MDARD and then have to burn their crops. So that's important, along with the mycotoxin testing and the microbiology testing. We really felt we had a full stack opportunity to help them do that. And we've done this already with FARP as well. Tony mentioned FARP earlier. That's the Food Allergy Research and Resource Program out of University of Lincoln, Nebraska. A university group that helped us make some of our first test kits for allergens. We said, gosh, allergens are a huge problem. This stuff's getting regulated. We should probably make sure the products are safe. So it's the same model. Let's partner with people like yourselves, like FARP, develop meaningful products for the farmers and for the constituency that it's targeted to, and let's keep our farmers and our own bodies safe as we eat this stuff. So it's a really mission-based project and mission-based portfolio here with the farmers. And, we celebrate America's farmers here every day. So more of our.
I was curious, is dumpster fire, is that a technical term?
It is highly scientific.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I've heard it in other uses. So, I mean,
Well, here's another example, like 2020, you could say that was a dumpster fire, that for everybody. So.
That's the truth. Yeah.
Jesse, if I could add one thing, what I've seen from an analytical testing perspective is there's a lot of methods out there, and all of them, there's some people have made the mistake of saying, well, this test works for soybeans, so it ought to work for hemp, or it ought to work for this or that. And one of the things we found is working with hemp and cannabis residues and matrices is that they behave incredibly different. They are inherently complex samples with a variety of different profiles, and they do not behave the way a standard quote unquote food sample does. And without to not give it appropriate validation in that environment is really a mistake, because I think you'll end up with that dumpster fire that you observe, because it just turns into a random number generator and not something people can rely on.
Agree, Tony. And, to that point, Nate, are you going to talk about our 5-paper validation verification series? We try to educate everybody about what is validation, what is verification, why is this so important? Because it is hard. It's hard to grasp the importance of this if you're not living it and breathing it every day like you and me and Tony are. So are we going to talk about that a little bit today?
Yeah, well, we can talk about it right now. So what we've done is we've partnered with a collaborator that's also part of AOAC, Pat Bird, and we developed a series of white papers, 5 different white papers that go through method validation. And so they're easy and digestible in a series of 5 different papers that I believe are going to be released by the Hemp Industries Association. So they're going to release those here in the next couple of weeks, so that the hemp community can digest that information and understand the nomenclature of method validation and understand, all the nuances associated with that as well.
Well, that'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
To find out the why and how come and what you guys are doing on a daily basis on this. So,
Yep. The difference between robustness and ruggedness testing. And I'll go through that a little bit later on in the podcast as well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, I think, and I want everybody to know that we're not disparaging labs or laboratories or what they do. They are important in the whole situation, and they do their role in this situation as well. We're just provided, this is just a way you can kind of do it quickly on the farm, and an easy way to do that. So we certainly know that the laboratories are still important, and for some people, that's going to be the way to go, right? But for other people that are doing large volumes, this is going to be a much better way for them to keep track of it up to that point. And, second opinion sometimes isn't bad, especially when you're going to the doctor, right? Second opinion is not bad to make sure things are right. So
Blaine, can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah, sure.
I agree with your statements exactly. The industry's cleaned up a lot since we started this project, and some of the shady players in the testing space have exited the testing space. So I agree with you on that. We have trusted partners in the testing arena, such as Veritas, your friends here with iHemp. So I definitely don't want to disparage them either, but I think everybody knows the problems we had early on. I'm happy it's getting better and we're getting more legitimacy out there. So I'll say dumpster fire asterisk. How's that?
Okay, good to know. So
Dave or Mike, or even other Tony, any questions you've got before we get into the demonstration and show it a little more?
No, that's actually what I'm waiting to see is the demonstration, because I'm the technology guy, so I'm always curious about this stuff.
Show me, right? You're the show me guy.
Yeah, and this is good.
Me. Yeah.
The more data the farmers have, the better educated decisions they can make. So it's good.
All right.
Well, and I think you made a great point, Blaine, because it's once you ship off sample to the state laboratory, the cake's already baked, and so at least you can have something along the way that knows sort of where you're trending.
Yeah, last year we had the opportunity, and of course, last 2 years we've been able to send in our own samples, based on that. Now, of course, and before, and then you had a 3 shot, right? If it didn't work once, you could send another one in. It's not that way now. It's one and done. When they come out and do the test, that is the test. So, Yes, sir. Absolutely. So,
and related to method validation, if we could stay on that subject for just a moment, one of the questions we often get, with this particular method is, how can I trust the results, for this rapid method? And what NEOGEN has done is we have an internal validation lab that is set up separate from the development team. And so their role and responsibility is really just to focus in and evaluate the technology independently. And so they go through robustness and ruggedness. We kind of have a nickname of robuggedness to describe the overall validation process. And so we've gone through that. And like Jesse was saying earlier, the 2018-11 HPLC method, what we've done is we've taken 118 paired samples with that method compared to our rapid method to see how it compares, with those laboratory results, at the final stage right before harvest. And we had really good correlation, really good linearity for the performance of this method. So we're really excited to provide another tool in the toolbox, for these hemp farmers. So absolutely.
And this is a pretty easy test. I always like to say that if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I did have a few phone calls last year that I had to make, but we worked through that.
That's my line, Blaine. I said, easy enough for Lupo.
Did I steal your line? So let's talk about what we have here, what's in front of us. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we, just to start out with, we really appreciated your partnership, through the development. And then Mid-Michigan Hemp Supply, I want to acknowledge Jen up there as well. She participated. And also want to acknowledge the development team, the research and development team. So I actually joined the project a little bit later in December and was asked to carry it across the finish line to launch the product. So need to acknowledge Dan Grubb, Heath Burgoyne, and John Raymond. They're the research scientists that you were working with early on that developed this technology. So to talk a little bit about the technology itself, what it is a lateral flow device or immunochromatic assay.
oh, now they're bringing out the test.
Yeah. There's about half a dozen or a dozen ways to describe this technology.
If you've ever wondered if you're about to be a father, you've seen one of these before. It's the same technology.
See,
Sometimes you're hoping for yes, and sometimes you're hoping for no, but it's the same technology.
Yeah, I was just going to go there, Tony, for sure. So that's the common example of a lateral flow device everyone is familiar with. So a pregnancy test, you're looking at the interpretation of a couple lines and you may be happy, you may be disappointed.
Maybe pink.
Exactly. So that's the common technology that everyone's familiar with. So, I personally listen to your podcast, on my commute to work. So I don't usually do the YouTube. So, I was planning on doing a quick demonstration here. And I'll try to describe it, for people driving or listening that, don't have the benefit of the YouTube video. But, absolutely, if you're listening to it, I would like you to tune into the rebroadcast and the YouTube.
You can play back as many times as you need to.
Absolutely.
But not on the road. We don't want accidents.
Yeah,
Exactly. Pull over and you can pull it up on your phone. Yeah. So the lateral flow device, it's got a membrane there and it's going to flow up and it has reagents and the reagents are going to bind to delta-9 THC and form a test line and control line. And the absence of the test line will indicate the presence of delta-9 THC in your test. So that's the gist of the technology itself.
And that might be a little backwards to what some folks are used to seeing. Usually you look at a strip test like this and you think, well, one line's negative, two lines positive. But in this case, because the type of molecule that we're looking for, it's actually the opposite. It starts with two lines and the second line begins to disappear as the THC is present. And so that's sort of kind of the first, I guess, thing that would be unusual to folks. But you'll see that here as Nate demonstrates.
Yeah. And there's that's a good point, Tony. And then this is a fully quantitative method. There's qualitative methods, like we talked about, are you pregnant or not? And then there's fully quantitative
Hopefully
methods.
not. Yeah.
So this is a fully quantitative method. So 0.1% to 1.6%. So right there at that regulatory threshold of 0.3% delta-9 THC. So
Walk me through that one more time. I think I didn't quite understand that. So, I mean, I understand that you if it disappears, you see you've got THC, but how do you know how much THC you have?
So we've got a calibration curve on a per lot basis in this QR code.
Oh, okay.
That's going to, provide an algorithm basically and some parameters for this particular lot of devices. And based on the relationship of the control line intensity and the test line intensity on the device, it's going to use that calibration curve and produce a percent THC result.
Ah, okay. Now I got it.
Yep.
And it sounds really complicated, but essentially our guys set the curve internal, put it in a barcode on the tube, and then when it gets used in the field, they simply scan it and then run the unknown sample, and it gets related back to that.
And is it a one-time use for the swab or whatever, or what? How does that play out?
Yep. One device per analysis. And there's
okay. I figured that. Otherwise you'd mix your samples up, right? So.
Yep, absolutely. It's a good question. So I'm pulling everything out, kind of like a Good Morning America segment, cooking segment. I was thinking about last night. I think doesn't Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg have like a cooking show or something?
Yeah.
They do.
Well, it's kind of like the same thing. You got Blaine,
Yeah,
so-
it's almost exactly the same, really.
Yeah, so I expect them coming through the door at any moment. So, we described this method and its simplicity in 4 basic steps. So there's dehydrate, decarboxylate, extract, and run. So there's 4 core steps to getting a result. And so, for the interest of time, we're going to skip the first 2, but you would take a representative sample. You would dehydrate it maybe with a food dehydrator for a period of time. You want to get that moisture content down below 10%. And then you put the sample in what's called a decarboxylator. And what that's going to do is it's going to take, all the THC acid form in the sample and convert it over to delta-9 THC that are antibodies on this lateral flow device will detect.
That's one of the things that we found last year when we were doing the beta testing on is that when we pulled the samples, this time of year, because flowers are starting to form right about now. So you could start in your test. Well, the product was a little bit too wet for the decarboxylation to go. So that's why we had to do that. So I used just a real simple food dehydrator that I use. You can use an oven, anything to get that moisture out of there before you put it into the decarboxylation.
Yeah.
Now, what about the decarboxylizer? Is that included with the kit, or is that something you have to purchase separate?
That's something that you would purchase separately. So we've got a couple different models that we recommend. So that's something that you would source yourself.
That's a one-time purchase, though, so that's use, sample over sample.
Absolutely.
And I always play the role of the how much part. So, what sort of range are we looking at? Because that's what people were going to want to know, right? So,
Sure.
For the decarboxylator, the model that we recommend is about $350, but you get a different model, it's about $200. So
that's not bad.
I bought the Advent.
Yep.
Have you seen that? It's Ardent FX, so I use that to do some, topicals and such.
Sure. That's the one
that $300.
Yep, that's the one that we recommend. So they have the FX model and then they have the Nova model. And so we validated both, and that's who we recommend. So
all right, cool.
I've actually found an air fryer that you use in the kitchen to be a great rapid drying device. You just got to keep an eye on it because things will get too hot if you're not careful.
You do the decarboxylation right with it.
Well, that's good to know. I've got one of those.
Becky would probably be interested in that. You could get her an air fryer and it would double, for the testing, right? So
aromatherapy in the house while you're at it.
There you go. There you go.
We are working, just a little side note here. I found one here in Michigan that actually makes this called Alpha Dog, and we're working a little bit with them to see. We haven't tested their machine yet, but we're working with them to see if we can get another Michigan-made product right here to be able to.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool. So, we've gone through, the dehydrate and decarboxylation steps. And so what I've got is a 1 gram ground sample that's already been decarboxylated. So I'm going to take isopropyl alcohol. It's just 70% isopropyl alcohol. It's something that you could find at Rite Aid, any drugstore, off the shelf. It's very easy to find, basically rubbing alcohol, but it should be 70%, not 95%. I'm going to measure out 25 milliliters of that isopropyl alcohol with this graduated cylinder. And I'm going to pour that right into the sample cup here.
And these items come with the kit.
Yes.
And you can order extra supplies if you need it, but these do come with the kit.
Absolutely.
Some folks will even use a calibrated pump for that 25 milliliters that we offer, where it's just a one push equals 25, and then it kind of takes a measurement step out. So kind of different things for different folks. It just depends on what fits your workflow.
Absolutely.
I have one question back on the beginning. I apologize, but why dehydrate before you decarb? Because the decarb is heat and it removes moisture, right?
Doesn't get enough of it out because the product is so damp when you take it right off.
With the wet flour.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
all right.
The farther we get into harvest, right, the closer we get to actually harvesting it, then it was less time to put it into that process. But,
less of an issue. Okay, thank you.
What's happening is there was actually too much moisture. So when we took the top off the decarboxylator, the product was still wet and moist. Yeah.
And the regulations specify by dry weight, so percent by dry weight. So you want to remove the moisture and then decarboxylate it, to get the acid converted over to delta 9, and then analyze it from that perspective as well.
Nate, is it fair to say for some of the audience members that may not be as close to this, the decarboxylation step is in essence just sort of activating the THC to be detectable in a detectable form?
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So it's constant temperature over time to make that conversion. Absolutely.
For folks on the line too, 25 milliliters is about a tenth of a cup. Just to put volumes in perspective there. If you're on the podcast, it's not a whole lot. We're not pouring jugs of anything. There's just a can of soda is turned in 55 milliliters, right? So it's not a ton.
Yeah.
And Nate, that decarboxylation step, you just place it inside the little chamber and walk away. Is it a passive thing like that?
Absolutely. So
there's a timer.
Like a coffee filter, you'd want to separate your different samples with different lots, and then put it into the Ardent FX decarboxylator, push go, and it takes about an hour and a half.
Okay.
To go through that step.
Thank you.
Turns red, when it turns green, you're good to go.
Yep, exactly.
It's easy.
It's
Even
very-
I can't mess that up.
Exactly. Very simple. So now that we've done the dehydrate and decarboxylate step, now we're going to extract the sample. All right. So we've added the isopropyl alcohol to this sample cup. We're going to set a timer for 1 minute, and we're going to do a shake. So we're shaking it back and forth. You don't want to shake it vigorously like this, because then I'd be wearing it. So just
Shake
back
it,
and
but
forth.
not stirred, right? So
Exactly.
well, you got the alcohol in there. You're not kind of making the connections.
Oh,
Exactly.
I was reaching.
That's good.
You drink this though, you'll need some glasses. It's not good for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Bathtub gin,
One
right?
thing that I
So-
did find last year, though, when we started doing this test, and again, this is going back to the dumpster fire of 2020, like Dr. Miller said there. When I went in to try to find the isopropyl alcohol, everybody was using it for sanitizing and cleaning and making hand cleaners. So it was a little tough for me to find. I had to go to 2 or 3 stores to find it. So, but now it's not a problem. But
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, you're right. Anything
was-
that killed bacteria was a premium.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And maybe again, who knows, so.
we're hoping not. That's for sure. Hoping not. But again, a very, very simple process to do this. Doesn't take very long. The 2 things that are the longest part of this, really, of this test is that drying phase at first to get it down to the dry material, and then the decarboxylation. So
Sure.
I
So
would
in
just-
terms of elapsed time, when you start the whole process, what does that take? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, less, more?
15 at the most.
Yeah, 15 from this point going forward.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that decarboxylation, I think you threw out a time on that, Nate. It was over an hour.
Yeah.
That portion.
yeah.
And
Oh,
what
you
I
got to
would
do that
is I
first.
would
That's an
pull the
hour
same-
then. Okay, got it.
Okay, we have to dry it, then decarb it. So you're
Unless you
looking
get
at
you get the
What I would do
air
is
fryer
I
thing.
would put
then-
the samples in my dehydrator at night when I went to bed, kind of thing, and
Uh-huh.
then they were dry and right, ready to go. So
Ah,
So that 15 minutes is your active hands-on time.
Got
Yep.
Exactly.
kind of like baking the cake, right? You got the prep time. So yep.
Exactly. Throw it in the oven. So the next step, we're going to let that settle for just a few minutes, or for a few seconds. We have what's called a pipetter to take our sample, our extracted sample, and dilute it. So the pipetter, if you're familiar with television shows like CSI, there's usually
Here we go. Science stuff coming
usually
out.
that scene where they're trying to catch the criminal and
Mhm.
someone's using the pipetter on the scene. So it's very easy. I'll try to describe it as best I can for the listeners. So you just depress it with your thumb. And if you go all the way down, this is a single stop pipetter that we supply with this kit. So if you go all the way down, you're going to submerge the tip into the sample, and then you're going to pull up with your thumb, and then that's going to pull up 100 microliters. So a very small sample volume, for this test.
Again, making it blame proof.
Yeah, making it blame proof.
Making it blame proof.
Is it on the box that it says it's blame proof or not?
Yes, guaranteed blame proof.
Well, and for your listeners, think about this as a, really, really precise drop or eyedropper, if you will. You're measuring a really specific small volume very precisely, but that's essentially what it is you're sucking up some liquid and then you're dropping it into another container in a precise way.
Better than a turkey baster.
Yep, exactly.
Much more precise than a turkey baster.
It's funny about CSI, Nate. Somehow I recognize that every scientist on TV is better looking than Jesse and I don't know what the deal is with that.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe that either.
So I went into the kit and I pulled out a sample cup and a dilution bottle. So each kit is going to have 25 dilution bottles, 25 sample cups, and 25 devices. So this next step is a dilution step. We're going to uncap the dilution bottle. It has a buffer, 5 milliliters of buffer in there. We're going to pull up, like I described, using the turkey baster pipette. We're going to pull up 100 microliters. We're going to put that into the dilution bottle. Now, this is an important step to get this measurement right. So if you see any bubbles or any particulate matter in your pipette tip, you want to get a new pipette tip and start over. So this part is important, this dilution step. Now I'm going to cap the bottle that has my extracted sample and dilution buffer, and then I'm just going to invert it gently 10 times. And so this is mixing up the sample, making it nice and homogeneous.
This is where you can do like the Jeopardy theme song or something.
Exactly. Cue the music. Cue the music. So that's it there. And then I'm going to uncap the diluted sample. And then this is another important part. It's always important to have a fresh pipette tip. We had a concentrated extracted sample before. Now we have a diluted sample. So if you use the same pipette tip, you're going to cross-contaminate that sample and over-report. So we've got a brand new fresh pipette tip that we're using. We're going to go back into the diluted sample and pull out 100 microliters. And Blaine, you can see that it's much clearer because it's very much diluted.
Yep, doesn't have that green tint to it.
Yeah. We're going to put that in the sample cup.
So I always knew when I did it wrong, because if it was green in there, I said, "Oh, that's not right.
It's not diluted
It's
enough.
not the way.
Yeah.
Not the right one."
And then I'm going to take one of these lateral flow devices, put it in the sample cup, and set my timer for 5 minutes.
So I'm curious, do you have to, are the pipettes a one-time use? So you have to have multiple ones, or can you clean them out, or what?
That's a great question. And the answer to that is yes, single time use. You do not want to clean them out. So we sell, bulk pipette tips in bags. We've got the starter pack that includes 96 pipette tips. So you'd want to use a fresh pipette tip every single time.
So use and dispose then, right? So
yeah, both for the dilution step and then removing the diluted sample into the sample cup. So
is it made out of glass or plastic? Is it recyclable or not? Is it bio waste?
Yeah, it's plastic. In here, because we're not, working with any microbiology samples, you can just throw it in the trash.
Okay.
And you get 25 of the other containers and such. You're set up for 25 tests initially with the kit.
Correct.
Yeah.
And is that enough to get you through a typical season, or what do you think? Like, I know it's brand new, but what do you think?
I mean, depending on the lots and how large, your grow size is and how many data points you want over that growing season, it will vary from operation to operation.
Yeah, I get it. If you're growing 4 or 5 different varieties, right, then you're going to be doing 4 or 5 different tests, and you're probably going to be doing, the 2 or 3 tests at least through the year, if not more, kind of thing. So it just depends on how accurate you need to be or want to be on it. Depends how many tests you run. Typically, this test that we're doing here just to get the THC. Now, this isn't going to give you the CBD content. Okay, just going to give you the THC. But typically this would run anywhere from, $40. I've heard some people say up to $70 or $80 per test for this.
Huh.
And you have to wait, a couple days to get the results back. We're here, you have, in a couple hours time, you can get a good result.
Let me ask you then, if it's just giving you THC, can the cannabis community use it? Because they're always curious to know what level of THC they have in whatever their products are. Is that something the cannabis farmer could use as well?
That's something that we're investigating. This same technology, we've got a quantitative range between 1.1% to 1.6%.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty low.
Adapt this technology for a higher potency test. So that is something that we're
investigating. Because they're going for like 25 or 30 or 40% or something like that,
Yeah,
so.
it's because of this dilution step, it's a very, very sensitive test. So we can do that quantitative range very easily with this same technology. Just a different calibration curve, essentially.
You need a bigger stick. Yeah.
They can't say it, Mike. They're working on it.
No, that makes sense because you got the two big markets, and both of them. I mean, cannabis is exploding right now in the state. Everybody's doing it. And I think right now hemp is still, everyone's kind of eyeing it and thinking, it's kind of complicated. But, a lot of the farmers who don't typically grow hemp are looking at, should I grow hemp? But they don't know anything about it. So, of course, they have to talk to iHemp and join iHemp in order to learn all that. For shameless plug there for you, Dave. So
we appreciate that, Mike.
I'll tell you what, I've been learning a lot since I've been involved in this project over the last couple months, since December. Just listening to your guys' podcast too, I remember there's a couple episodes ago, a lady was talking about the ideal ratios in hemp grains for omega-3s and omega-6 fatty acids. So, I take krill oil every day, for that, but you need to change over to hemp grains.
Well, I know where you can get some wonderful hemp oil from.
All right,
perfect. When you need that, you let me know.
Perfect.
We can do that.
That would be down on the farm, right, Lane? Or I'd slip that in for you. So go ahead.
Sure. We got about a minute left. So what I'm going to do is maybe describe the reader since we got about a minute left. So this is a Raptor Solo reader. That's how it's branded. It's perfect for on-farm use. There's a lithium-ion battery built in, very big screen and display that you can read easily. And what we're going to do to set up for our test, because we got about 30 seconds left, is we're going to select the category, which is cannabinoid Q+. And then we're going to select the test, which is THC and hemp. And then we're going to select run test. And when we do that, we have a choice of the different lots. So each lot, like we talked about, is going to have a different calibration curve. So it's important to select the lot that you're running. So this one ends in 598. I'm going to select that. Put in my sample ID.
So the sample ID, when I was there last year, I could put in the farm that I was pulling the sample from and what variety it was. There's some good information you can put in there and keep track of it. And the information is downloadable. So you can download it off of that into your computer. So you have records that way as well.
That's a good point, Blaine. So it's important to, take the device out of the cup after the 5 minutes and then put it in. This is Mike, reusable. So this cartridge is reusable. So you put the device in this reusable cartridge.
You can't see that because we're too far away, but there's actually two lines. That was clear before, just white. Now there's two lines on there.
Yeah, I haven't got my glasses on, so anyway, oh yeah, now I say it. Okay, yeah.
All right. And I'm going to put it in the reader. It's just going to take a few seconds to analyze that test line and analyze the control line, compare the intensity of the two, and then based on that, with that calibration curve, we're going to get a result in percent THC.
So this one gives us 0.3%.
Oh, right on the button.
Right on the button.
Right on the button. Absolutely. So it's as simple as that.
Harvest now.
Exactly. Now is the time to harvest immediately.
A week ago.
Absolutely.
I am.
Yeah. So 4 easy steps, dehydrate, decarboxylate, extract, and run. So very easy, very simple. And then this is built-in Wi-Fi capabilities, USB. So there's a data manager component. So you can download your test results and track it over your growing season and take a look at
Interesting.
THC.
Well, that's a good thing. I was worried that either Blaine wouldn't be able to transport that sample back, or we'd have to call somebody to get Nate into trouble.
Exactly.
No, it's
Just
Blaine
under the
proof.
wire.
It's been tested by Blaine, so anybody can use it. So,
That's
right?
right. Absolutely. This is
Yeah, there you go. So the big question is, I already know the answer, but I'll give you a chance to say it. The total cost for the whole system is?
No, well, it's really going to depend on what you need, because if you have a decarb box, then you don't. But basically, I kind of price this out myself, and you're looking at somewhere around $3,200 to $3,500 if you get everything that you need. You know, a grinder to grind it up a little bit, the decarb box later, a dehydrator. So depending on what you have for that. But if you take out all the other stuff, the other extra stuff, you're looking about $3,000 to $2,700, somewhere in that range.
And Dave and I were looking at the competitors before we started. Why don't you tell Dave, what are the competitors charging?
Well, the one, one of the tools that popped in my head from looking in 2019 is like $14,000. It was over $13,000.
Yeah, big
For
difference.
the orange one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't going to mention the competitor.
We're not going to say the name. We were just looking at the numbers,
But
I asked him, what do the other guys charge? And he looked it up. So,
Yeah.
And you have to send that back in for calibration and a bunch
right. Yeah.
Well, and you think about it, so you're set up with 25 tests. That's $100 a test. It's not unheard of to spend $100 a test.
and that's for the initial, right? But then after that, you just have to buy
Less.
this.
Yeah. You just need some supplies.
And after this is, I think, $400. I think, for
$400
this.
is what it retails.
So then you're
Yep.
down to $16
Yeah,
a test.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job, NEOGEN.
absolutely.
Excellent. That's cool. Love the tech.
Yeah. Thanks.
So
Work.
here we go. We've got a way to help everybody to.
So now if someone wanted to get their hands on that in January, would they be able to see that at the Midwest iHemp Expo?
Definitely.
Yeah.
They can get their hands on it now. They can contact me, or they can contact NEOGEN either way. Also, Jen Nelson is another distributor for it. So any one of those us can help you out. We'll get that taken care of.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
We'll also be at the Southern Hemp Expo, Dave, and I'm giving a talk there as well. So
Very
everybody
good.
down there at SHE3 here in a couple weeks.
Raleigh,
Looking
right? Or
forward to
something
that.
like that.
Yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina.
And we'll
Yeah, I was
also
just
have
gonna
this-
mention that.
We'll also have it at the West Michigan Cannabis and Hemp Expo at Grand Rapids.
September 11th and 12th.
Yes.
Yeah, 9th and 10th. Yeah.
And we've got busy times coming ahead.
Yes, sir. Because right now is when everybody needs this. I mean, the flowering is starting now. So from anywhere from now to 2 weeks from now, when that bud starts forming, you're going to want to start testing this to make sure where you're at and to save your crop, save your ass.
Exactly.
From all the hard work that you've done and the money you've put into the crop and everything else, we now have a way to know, okay, yep, it's time. Yep, it's time.
Yeah, this is the non-hemp guy or the non-farmer speaking. So if it does reach that 0.3 point, do you immediately harvest so that it doesn't go over it? Because that's the part I'm a little confused on.
Yes. That's why now what they've changed in the Farm Bill, which has been very nice to help out everything, and Michigan has too, is before it was you did the test, you have 15 days from the date of the test to harvest. They've given us now 30 days. So the idea here is when you would get to 2.8, 2.7, right?
Mhm.
Call them, because MDART has 15 days from when you request the result of the test for them to get out and take that sample. So this is where we want to be, 2.5. Yeah, we're getting nervous.
Mhm.
Okay, let's call them. And you got 30 days to be able to take it off the field there. So, yep. Again, a good way that we can be ahead of the curve and not behind the curve on this.
Okay.
For sure.
And then with the Southern Hemp Expo, so I don't think Tony knows this or Jesse knows this. So just a couple hours ago, I was able to talk to our national sales director, and he was able to approve a discount code. So for 15% off, if you put in the code SHE, which is the acronym for that show in Raleigh that we're going to be part of. So SHE 2021, and you'll get 15% off, the reader and the test kit as well. So we wanted to make that available for all the listeners
Sweet.
by iHemp Michigan.
So if you're an iHemp Michigan member, there you go. Just paid for your membership once again with the discount. Pays to be a member.
That's right. You'd be a fool not to join iHemp, right? So
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any other questions anybody's got? How are we doing on time, guys? I've been so excited.
you got 3 minutes to get your cookie recipe going.
And Tony's Blaine, real quick. Tony Solano, he had to jump off.
Tony, jump in while I get ready.
Well, he had to jump off. He was getting a bad headache. He's still recuperating from his journey to Michigan, but he has a request. So Tony's you've been hanging out with Tommy Chong lately, out in Vegas and he wanted to know what everyone could chime in, what your favorite Tommy Chong memory might be.
Oh, wow.
Well,
it's Tony's birthday, so let's do this for Tony. So where
they're driving back from Mexico and in the vehicle that's all dope and it catches on fire. I mean, I can't remember which movie that was, but I thought that was pretty funny. Up in Smoke. Thank you.
I watched all those movies, but Up in Smoke is that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like the one where he's standing at the urinal. I don't know if it was him or which one, but he turned to talk to the guy that was chasing him and it pissed on his foot. I thought that was hilarious. So
total disregard for law enforcement, So
I'm gonna have to go with Up in Smoke. Very beginning when they get pulled over and he gives Cheech all the drugs to eat. And he goes, "Oh wait, don't eat that." And you just took the most acid I've ever seen anybody take. And then Cheech starts freaking out.
Oh, man.
Or the other one where he's saying, "How am I driving?" And he goes, "We're parked."
This is a subtle one, but I like the grill of the Rolls Royce, strapped to like the Volkswagen Beetle or something like that.
Oh,
yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, if you ever see I don't remember what the documentary is on him, but where he got arrested for doing the glass paraphernalia. Pretty sad that our government actually baked and what do we want to call that? Where they just kept calling until finally somebody sent some paraphernalia out to a state that wasn't legal in, and that's how they finally arrested him. But very sad that they do this.
But that's called entrapment, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
there was a name for that, and I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, that's the word.
All right, so a couple of things I want to make. Yeah, we talked about the Southern Hemp Expo. If you're coming down there, please. We're all going to be having fun. We're going to have a hospitality hour. NEOGEN's going to have one from 5 until 7.
Yeah.
And then iHemp Hour is going to have one from 9 until, I guess, when we run out of the booze, which will probably quickly with everybody being there. But so do stop and see us and have some fun with us. Enjoy it. So that's going to be, that's in Raleigh, the second and through the 4th of September. Is when that is, and they're still looking for volunteers. So if you're thinking about coming down and want to be involved and have some fun, they're still looking for volunteers on that too. So Show Me State is having their Ag Classic Expo on August 24th. It's going to be at Garden City, Missouri. Monday, August 30th, the Midwest Hemp Council is having their Fiber Forum and Field Day in Martinsville, Indiana. They have 2 sessions actually. They do one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And Purdue University and Heartland Hemp Cooperative is helping out with that one. Hemp at the Crossroads is coming December 1 through 3 in Plainfield, Indiana. So that's coming up as well. I'll bring this up, I guess, next time since we're running short, but I just want to make a comment that Roundtable submitted comments on the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act. We'll probably cover that on the next show a little bit more. September 25th. Is Illinois Hemp Growers Association, their 3rd anniversary. Dave, you're going to love this. I know you're going. They're going to have a disc golf tournament. They're actually having the event at a golf course that has a golf course and a disc golf course. So
we're
very
providing
cool.
some disc golf discs.
You think you'll have some? All right.
Oh yeah, we have some.
And speaking about golf, on a previous episode, I understood you made a putter, Dave, out of hemp.
Yeah, I don't have one here to show and tell, but yeah, we're doing hemp putters. They'll be available soon.
Nice.
Okay. That might
He's
help
such
my
an
golf
entrepreneur, So what can I say?
All right. So here we go. Here's the fun part of the show now.
Now, people that are listening on the audio only can't see the hat, so.
You can't see it or not? No.
Well, the people just listening on the audio portion,
they can't see it.
later
I have
on.
my little cooking hat on. Let's just have.
Yeah, there you go. You have to describe it. We're good. Go ahead.
So today we're having, here you go, you can do the display.
Thank you.
This is the Chia hemp seed oatmeal cookie is what this is.
Ooh.
It is yummy. And again, sorry, but Neogen's going to get the benefit today. We want to thank.
Nate has to bite it. He has to actually do a testimonial here. Go ahead.
Well, my pleasure.
Okay. He's going to want the rest of the bag now. What he's going to want.
Yeah. Thumbs up.
So,
Nice.
I got to
Very
throw out a big
Nice.
thank you to, we need milk, right? That's what we need milk. We need milk. To the Hempress for making these up, this batch up for everybody today. This is a Chia hemp seed oatmeal cookie is what this is. And you can find all these recipes on our website. Ingredients is pretty simple. It's a multi-grain flour, a cup of oatmeal, and 3/4 of coconut and seed. Dave, you got it up there? There we go. Good. Half a quarter cup of hemp seed. I always like to go a little heavier, but that's just me. Dark chocolate, raisins, baking powder, a cup of sugar, pretty easy. A recipe, it takes about 20 minutes prep time, cook time's 10 minutes, eating time is 0. Calories, 151 calories. So we want to shout out to, this is for Art and the Kitchen is where we got this one from. The author is Laura King. So we want to make sure we give credit where credit is due on that. So that is today's fun recipe.
Hey, just so you know, Blaine, if you had that Neogen Raptor and you bought one of these FX, the ardent infusers, you could take that butter, you could infuse that butter with cannabinoids, some CBD. You can do this at home. You can't sell these kids, but you could make some CBD infused cookies right here.
Oh,
With this tool, that's what this thing does. You can infuse butter.
all right. Well, I when I was looking to get them, I saw that.
I'm telling you what a marketer he is.
I have some CBD distillate in case anybody needs some.
Dave, is that how you do your peanut butter balls?
I just not for the peanut butter. I just dilute some of this and just heat it up in the microwave.
Okay, good.
But if you're doing oils or butters, this is a more controlled way to do it, to better infusion.
Dr. Jesse or Tony, anything you want to add to our show today?
I think we lost Dr. Jesse.
Unfortunately, yes, Jesse had to drop off, but only just to thank you all for taking the time to and for the kind and gracious invitation of having us. I always know that whenever we take an opportunity to work with other industry folks such as yourselves, we always learn something, and so anything that we can do to try to take what we do and what we know and make it better. Is always a pleasure in my day, and if we can better our community by helping to sell more Lansing made products, all the better. So thank you so much, and really absolutely appreciate you and your listeners.
Hey, if you do that cannabis one for my industry, let me know. We'll get you on one of my shows. So
excellent.
It's coming, Mike. It's coming. Okay. That's for sure. Yeah.
I would just add the same thing, really appreciate and how welcoming, iHemp Michigan has been and the whole hemp community, for that matter. So really appreciate it.
So we thank you guys for what you do, because if you didn't do what you do, we couldn't do what we do, and vice versa kind of thing. And now, again, we have a great way for everybody to take their tests throughout the year to make sure that they don't go hot. They don't waste those thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of
tens of thousands of dollars, right? So
yes, on a simple situation because it's going hot, and now we know when to prevent that. So I want to thank everybody today for being on the show. Dave, anything else you want to throw at us?
This is good. It's good information. We look forward to seeing everybody next week. We'll be sending out emails with our guest information shortly.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Have a good one.
Thanks so much, Nate. Save those cookies now. Only eat your portion.
No chance.
I will, Tony.
Poor Tony.
The bag right now.
Thanks, everyone.